at work and people are wondering, how is she dealing with that so well? How does she know? I want you to one day for somebody to say to you, you know what, you get it. Because you don't want to get stressed out in your careers. You guys are all going into the teaching field, is that correct?
Yes, speech language.
Right. So your job alone is going to be, you're going to have so many requirements. You're going to feel nowadays that you do not even have enough time to do everything that they're requiring you to do to get a good evaluation to keep your job. So the information that I'm going to offer you today is going to help you. You're going to find out that you need it. Someone's going to click, somebody's going to ask you something, and you're going to say, I remember when Monica said this. Or when this came up, I handled it this way. And it's because now you're going to have inside information after we finish talking today. The reason I gave you handouts is because I always run out of time. So much I want to give to you and I want you to have. So if we run out of time, although we're going to go over it, and let me know if you don't have it, you should have something for the Centers for Disease Control. It looks like this. You should have one on collaboration. And there's one about therapists and teachers, therapists, and caregivers. We are going to cover 2 of them because that's information that you all can use. No matter what field you're going into, you're going to be able to use that information. But I gave it to you in case we run out of time, and plus I created it personally for you all. That way you can refer back to it because it's a lot of information in it. The reason I'm calling this New Degrees of Freedom is because when we come across students that have special needs or that don't fit into what we feel is the standard, they're not sitting down, they're not being quiet, they're not cooperating, we tend to dismiss them or send them out of the class or label them. And what I want you all to see is that there's another way. And another reason I want to talk about it is because, and I'm not even following script yet, but we already started. Another reason I want to talk about it is because disproportionately black males are discriminated against in the education system. So as a result of that, they have a high suspension rate, they end up in jail, or they get labeled and they end up dropping out, so they don't fit in. Males in general versus females learn differently. He learns differently from we do. He wants to be hands-on, he wants to be faster and quick. We want to sit down, digest the information, ask questions. So we have to, if you respect all that, when you go into your field, it'll be an easier way and the student will get more out of it. One reason I'm passionate about it is not just because I have a child with special needs, is that I love teaching and all my teachers have made a difference in my life. And so if you think that your words do not make a difference, positive or negative, I'm telling you, you're wrong. One thing that you say to a student, they will carry that for the rest of their lives and decide that that's them. If you say, I believe in you, you're going to go high, and everybody else is saying, that kid is just bad. You ever met his parents? His mama, you really don't want to talk to her. And then all y'all start talking, everybody decides that's how the kid is. That is how the child is going to end up. Whatever you say to that child, it sticks, and it matters. I remember all of my teachers. You guys probably remember all of your teachers. And you take it with you. If they say you dumb, and you really not dumb, you're going to believe you're dumb. And you're going to perform that way. So what I'm saying to you is your job is way more important than you think. Besides the basics of it, if you're teaching math, if you're teaching speech, besides that, what matters is your compassion, how you feel about the students. Do you think everybody can make it? Do you think everybody can learn? And that's the space I want y'all to open up today. Okay, so let's move on. This is Eddie Hughes at 15 months old. We're going to talk about what autism is. We're going to talk about brain plasticity. I'm going to talk about what I feel your role is, what a parent's role is. And I'm going to give you recommendations for how to deal with parents of special needs children and special needs children. Okay. quote with you at the bottom right here. This capacity for paying attention and for intelligent action can be cultivated, nurtured, and refined beyond our wildest dreams if we had the motivation to do so. The reason I bring that up is even personally with you yourself. They've come up with this new study, but most of us already know it. If you're a religious person, you already believe it, but that is anybody can change. But this is also, if you believe in somebody and you keep going and you give them what they need, that you will see that they will actually change, they will actually perform. And brain plasticity, we're going to get to it later, really is just talking about if I keep repeating something, if I keep telling you about it, then eventually it will stick. The brain will open up, it will create a new pathway, and you'll get it. And that's in anything, language, speech, whatever. If you keep up with the repetition of it, then the brain will eventually take it in. And I've done it with my son. I've seen it happen. Definitions of autism. Autism is a developmental disorder that appears in the first 3 years of life. It affects the brain's normal development of social and communication skills. It's also a mental condition present from early childhood characterized by difficulty in communicating and forming relationships with other people and in using language and abstract concepts. These are the only two definitions that I found. But you have to accept, and this will help you, that children with special needs and with autism, they also have a deficit in social and communication skills. So social and motor skills. So that means how you're able to button your clothes and zip your shirt and tie your shoes. They are typically unable to do that. So usually they go to an occupational therapist because they can't grip. And people think that's not important, but it is important if you're trying to write, if they're in PE, if people are making fun of them, if, like my son, he wears the shoes that have Velcro because we don't want him to be embarrassed because he's 18 now in high school and can't tie his shoes. So it's so many other things that to consider that you never think of because you don't have a full definition of what it is that you're looking at. Socially, children with special needs, even if you don't have special needs, you want to fit in, you want to be with the popular group, and if you don't fit in, then you're X'd out and you feel alienated, suicidal, or just sad. You're not invited to parties, and my son's experience is totally different from what mine was coming up. All my teachers cared about me. They came to the house. They could whip you if they wanted to. If you got in trouble at school with them, you got in trouble again at home. So it's an adjustment that I also had to make. And what I found is that the teachers are overloaded, and I also found that autism is new. And I don't know if you all have ever heard of autism, because I never had heard of it. So when you have something new and you don't want to, and you can't do anything with it, or you press for time, you kind of push it aside. And so this is what I want you all to be mindful of. Also, when the child has special needs, they have medical problems too. And I don't want any of you to ever suggest to a parent or a child that they get on medication. I'm not saying the medication doesn't work. I've seen it work. I never put my son on it. I just changed his diet to gluten-free and casein-free. That means no dairy, no wheat. And I saw a difference. Plus now you could get in trouble legally for suggesting that somebody put the child on medication, or for you even to say to them, I think you have autism. I'm talking to you today so you can recognize it. I was at work the other day and this man brought his son in, and the son was hyper and doing all this stuff. He was trying to explain to me about the popcorn. But it's only because I have a child with autism that I already knew. I felt bad because the parent was actually apologizing for their child. And then they said, oh, well, you know, he has autism. And I told the guy, it's no big deal. I really already knew I have a son with autism. And then gave him some advice about some of the things that I felt would help him. And that's just a customer coming through the store. And I don't want the parents to ever have to apologize that their kid is not normal to any of you. Because sometimes it's the teachers or the principal or administrator that you feel you have to apologize to, or beg them to help you. And that shouldn't be the case. If they're in your class, the best thing that you could do is work with the person that deals with special needs, get all the records on them, and what I'm telling you is this is homework. You're not going to have time to do it in school. And go home and read their file. That's the best thing you could do for you, or you going to be stressed out. And another thing that's good is don't think that the parents don't know what they're talking about. Because we've been in there with them. Don't reinvent the wheel. My son was in school, they retested him for autism, although he had already got the autism diagnosis. You wasted time. Listen to what the parent has to say about what works and what doesn't work. Half of your answers will be, well, you know, I got 30 kids. I don't have time for this. I got 15 kids. I need to be to this point by this date on this page. And so all of this is going to help you, but in the field you're going in, you're never off work anyway. Some of the kids are going to stay with you. They're going to stay in your mind. You're going to wonder how they turned out. Did they go to college? What they doing? It's not a 9-to-5 job. You just go in and go out. You're going to be attached to somebody. And you're more a parent than you think because you're spending more time with them than their parents are. So you have to, and we're going to talk about that later, you all taking care of yourself. Okay, look, the Centers for Disease Control handout that I gave you all, this is, I'm going to briefly go over it, but this is really just talking about how the rate of people having autism continues to increase in that it doesn't discriminate across cultures or economic levels. We do find that it's greater in boys than girls. So that's what this is. If you just need some statistics and how much it costs the United States to take care of somebody on the spectrum. And on the spectrum, I mean, on the autism spectrum is very severe to mild. And my son Eddie went from severe to mild. And people said that was impossible. That once you have special needs, once you have autism, you cannot move. You're stuck there, and that's it. But I didn't believe that. So I'm telling you, you can change, you can move, the brain does change, but it is a lot of work. And the more people you have working with you, the better. And I can honestly tell you, it includes the teachers. So I've had teachers that were angels. I have teachers that I had to pray for. I've had it all. But to tell the truth, I appreciated the angels more because I was already having a rough time as a parent. And we take a lot of things for granted. You think that the child, as they go along, they just automatically pick up everything. But when you have a special needs child, you really do have to teach them everything. My son was not potty trained until he was 6, because typically if you have autism, you have something called a leaky gut, which nobody talks about, which really means diarrhea until you're 6. So they can't feel. They can't feel when they have to go to the restroom to have a bowel movement. So you're dealing with all of that with these kids that come to your class. And I don't personally believe the answer is a special class for them. For some children, yes, because you have a sensory motor problems, which means I just want to stare at your green shirt because it's bright. If it's a lot of noise and then you got that bright light on, I can't pay attention. So there are times when that is needed. There was for maybe the first 5 years when Eddie was in school from kindergarten until 2nd grade, I went up to the school every day to get him for a different reason. And sometimes it's just that it's too much going on in class and they can't focus. Okay, so you guys have a pretty good definition of what autism is. Lack of speech, repetitive speech, and parroting, that means everything I say to you, you say back, and you think we're talking. So I say, hey, how you doing? You say, hey, how you doing? I like what you have on. I like what you have on. You get that. No or little eye contact. So if you have students like that in your class, it's not that they're not paying attention. It's that I'm looking at you, and all I can focus on is your hair. So in order for me to hear you, I got to go like this. Like right now, all y'all could probably focus on is my hair instead of what I'm saying. So that's another thing. And then very sensitive to taste and the way things feel. So if I'm on the spectrum and I see your shirt right there and it looks soft, I may just come up and rub you. And it's not a sexual thing or anything like that. It's just, that's their tendency. So you gotta know that. And it can't do it, and you can't force. I had somebody ask me before, should you force the student to look at you when you know how we were raised? No, you look at me when I speak to you. And we were also raised, you don't eyeball me and stare me straight in my eye when I'm talking to you. And they can't do either one either way. Eventually, little by little, if you don't force it, the student will come around. You will see it. And that's what I want you guys to know. Don't let anybody label your students. If you have people in your family, and the kids are coming up now in all our families, and it seems like I used to think, something's slightly wrong, something a little bit off. Then you just pay attention to what you're looking at, but you don't label the child. You just have to do extra work. Whippings don't help. If whippings help, my son wouldn't have autism. At one time, my family thought, he's just bad, just whip him. And that's not the way. That's not what the problem is. If you could whip it out of him, you probably would. But you can't. Immunizations, I'm going to speak a little bit about that because I personally believe, and I saw with my own experiences, that once I took Eddie in to get his immunizations, which are required unless you have a certain religion. Here to go to school, you have to have that card. Once I took him in to get his immunizations, he was never the same again. He didn't want to talk, he didn't want to play, we wasn't running. I wasn't hiding books. I used to hide books because he wanted me to read all the time. I hide them under the couch. He wanted nothing to do with me. So that's why I personally believe for him, and it's a big debate, and I think part of the debate, and it's kind of squashed, is I think because it has a lot to do with money. Because if you have to pay me for the thimerosal that you put in the vaccinations, and you have to pay everybody for that, you're going to put out a lot of money. There have been, I know of 2 cases where people have won their case, but it's difficult to win the case because we had a case going on with a couple other people because you run out of money. You don't have the money to fight corporate. You just don't have it. And another reason that a lot of people can't win the case when they're suing for the immunizations is because you don't know what it is, so you wasn't documenting it. Everything has to be documented. And if everything's not documented, you cannot prove that that's what happened. We could prove that that's what happened, but actually we got a letter from the lawyers that said, we've been fighting this case for 10 years and we're not fighting it anymore. And that was the end of that. So, I believe that the thimerosal in the vaccinations have something to do with it because once they added the thimerosal, the increase in kids with autism, and you saw autism went up. Now what we do since we fought is send immunizations over to Africa and other poor countries instead of throwing away the vaccination with the thimerosal. And now in the United States, you cannot have thimerosal in the vaccinations. So that's how they solve that. Personally, for us to get a diagnosis, it took a long time. First, it took doctors saying, when I was taking Eddie to the doctor, and I was saying, hey, he's not talking, and he was saying, well, his dad doesn't talk, his dad's quiet. And then I got, what's your first child, so you're paranoid. You know when you have your first baby, every time they cough, you want to take them to the doctor. So I got all of that. So it took a while, but the truth is I didn't get the diagnosis until I came to Louisiana at LSU. I took him to LSU and they did the diagnosis, and then I took him to another pediatrician. The school system does do it, but you have to wait like a year before the testing is done through pupil appraisal. And the parents take the child there, and it's like a 4-hour test, and then they let you know what the diagnosis is. Now, today, it's really hard to get a diagnosis of autism. You may get developmentally delayed You might get that they have problems in speech. But it's very hard to get a diagnosis of autism because once you get that, then the school has to pretty much do everything that you ask them to do to help the child. So the school has to put out more money if you get that. So typically it's hard now to even get the diagnosis. They're going to put anything besides that. Even if you get a diagnosis of autism, and this is why I wanted to speak with you all also, the school system may fight you because it looks like it's a lot of extra work now you're going to have to do for these students in your class. And you want your class to run smooth. And you want to be on point, and you want to be, you know, on a certain lesson plan on a certain day. And even if the child doesn't have special needs, like they just have speech problems or a speech impediment, you may not want the child in your class because the child with a speech impediment needs to sit up front. I need you to look directly at me when you talk to me. And all this, if it's not in a student's IEP, you guys know what an IEP is? Anybody?
You better.
What's an IEP? Somebody. Who you want me to subtract some points from? I got a roll right here. I got with a roll. Share with a roll. What's an IEP, somebody? Just tell me what you think it is if you don't know what the acronym is. What is it?
Individualized educational plan.
10 points.
All right, y'all.
So look, why is the IEP important? Anybody over there?
Keeps you on the track, lets you know what they're learning, what they're not learning.
And why else y'all think is very important for you all, besides just the student? I'm listening.
Documentation.
Huh?
It's documentation.
Right? And guess what else it is? It's a legal document. Meaning, I could get you fired. I could get the school system sued. I have gotten teachers removed based on the IEP, but that's only if you're not implementing it and you're not willing to. Sometimes you all don't have a chance to read the IEP. That's what I'm telling you. Just decide for yourself. I'm not getting paid this Saturday, but I need to read the IEPs of the students in my class. I need to know about them. I need to know what was done, what wasn't done, and I need to know how the parents think. In the IEP, in the IEP, it actually is a section on the first page about what the parents think. It don't just come out and say we're crazy, but it'll tell you what we want from y'all. And if it's not on the IEP, I don't like this because these are not the type of teachers I grew up with, and this is not who you're going to be. If it's not on the IEP, you don't have to do it, even though you know the student needs it. One thing that's good about the IEP is if you get it on the IEP, you can enforce it, but it's not automatic. The downside of the IEP from a parent's point of view is, like when Eddie told me he was on the special needs bus, and one day he came home and said, I want to ride the regular bus. And I was like, oh, you know it's a regular bus? He said, yeah, I want to ride that. Well, I had to get a committee together. That's 12 to 15 people telling you what can and cannot be done for your child. And when I tell you, and y'all are going to experience this, when you go into those IEP meetings, they 2 to 3 hours.
Oh, no, good.
Some people are exhausted. I used to rest for 3 days after IEP meeting. But I went in prepared like a lawyer and decided what I wanted, why I wanted it, what law backed it up. I don't think a parent should have to do all that. You shouldn't have to give up your career for your child to get an education and for the teachers to care. But if it's not on the IEP, you could actually say to the parents, oh, I don't see that on here. Or you said he needs gluten-free snacks. Oh. And all the parent could do is call a meeting, which takes 7 days. And you have to vote and decide. And that's what I meant for the bus. We had to call a meeting, take a vote for people to say, is he a runner or not? A runner means some of these kids, they get off the bus, they just take off running. So if you have kids like that, then you have to be on the special needs bus, because then you have to have 3 staff members standing there. So when Monica get off the bus, you know she's gonna run. It just so happened Eddie wasn't a runner, thank God. So it happened. But the IEP is very important. It's very important for you to sit down and go through it and see what was going on. If you could read the one the year before, it will tell you a lot about the child's development and where they're going. Also on the IEP, it has accountability if they're done, well, if it has some meat to it. Because you could have an IEP that's not worth anything. But if it has some meat to it, then I've said, what's your name?
Vincent.
Chris?
Vincent.
I've said, Mr. Vincent is responsible for the math. So how come Eddie doesn't know it? That's when you have a really good IEP. When you put down who is responsible for it. A lot of schools try to sway you from not doing that, but no. You need to put down who's responsible for it, and then if you know you're responsible for it, you're going to implement it. Okay. Teachers, therapists, and I want to make sure I spend some time on this because you guys need this. Teachers, therapists, and caregivers. Let's talk about what hurts, what's not good. Never say the student does or does not appear to have autism. We talked about that earlier. Because the truth is you're not a medical doctor. Now since you're talking to me, and after this class you might be able to pick up a couple of signs and you could say to yourself or somebody when you get home, I don't think something's not quite right. But you can't say it outright to them or to their parent, and you can't say they don't have autism when the parent is asking for something or a special need or they don't have a speech impediment. You can't say that unless you have some paper to back it up. And the reason I'm telling you that is because somebody told me that about my son after I had spent 10 years at home with him, and then it appeared like it wasn't extreme. If I'm working with somebody who doesn't believe they have a condition that they have, then they're not gonna serve me. So I asked them to be put on another team. I don't think anybody should lose their job because it could just be ignorance. Or you could have stuff going on at home. Just you guys gonna find, just because you're a teacher don't mean your drama don't stop at home. You have kids too. You have a family too. So shouting at the student when they do not understand, that's not gonna help. To act as if the parent doesn't know anything about the child and reinvent the wheel, and you say, well, you don't know. You don't know what he's like. He's getting up, running around, he's doing this and that. We know, we already know that. The best thing that you all can do to help yourself is decide, well, let's do a behavior modification plan. What's that mean? That means that, what's your name?
Jacqueline. Jacqueline.
Jacqueline?
Yes.
That means that when Jacqueline is talking all the time in class, you've already told her to be quiet, then we come up with a plan instead of saying she's bad. We come up with a plan and we follow the plan to see if it works. Maybe really the truth is she's overwhelmed, there's too much sensory stuff going on, and she needs a 5-minute break. So that's the best thing to do versus kicking the students out. And I told you guys why I'm saying that and why I'm concerned about that. Because on a higher level, we drop out. Or we get frustrated or we're not treated right. What helps? It helps if you're passionate about your job. It helps if you're doing what you really want to do. No matter what you guys do when you leave here, it's going to help if you're really doing what you want to do. Sometimes you're really doing what you want to do, but they're not paying you a lot. So you got to think about why you're doing it. And so that's going to help. That's going to keep you, because what I'm asking you to do is extra. I'm actually asking you to be compassionate, but I'm also asking you to not give up or not label somebody or not decide somebody's future when you get in the class. With Eddie, last year they decided that Governor General and them came up with this thing about instead of a high school diploma, they had like a third diploma you could get. And really it was geared towards all special needs kids. Okay, I didn't like it. Because Eddie had done everything that the normal kids did, and he was in normal classes, so no way in hell, after all that sacrificing, were you going to give me a certificate. I'm not saying it's not good. The certificate, you cannot go to a 4-year university. You can't come to Southern, but you could go to a 2-year. And I don't believe any of the students should be limited. You perform to your capacity where you could go, and I'm going to push you higher, but I'm not just automatically going to put you out there in the world with limits on you. So, in order for this to stay in place and him to get a regular degree, they said, okay, well, he needs to take algebra. And the algebra teacher said, I have 60 students. So I don't have time for Eddie, and I don't think he's gonna pass it. I don't understand his notes. Because kids with autism, this is too much information right here. You give me this, I'm gonna shut down. I can't read it, it's too much. I need a lot of white space. I need a lot of room. So she said she couldn't understand his notes. And she couldn't. Because she hadn't read the IEP, she hadn't talked to me, she hadn't figured out, well, how you guys been doing this all this time? So it just, and I think the problem was, now that I'm more understanding of teachers is, I just have too much to do, really. So so the school said, hey, well, they do have, where you can take classes online. Now you tell me, any of y'all smart enough to take algebra online by yourself? You don't get a teacher. You just pull it up, learn the lesson, and take the test. Who could do that? Who's smart? You can brag on yourself.
I probably could eventually figure it out, but it would take a minute.
Yes. So we did that. We sat down every day. You guys need to be understanding of what the parents might be going through. So this is 1 or 2 hours every night. This not including other classes. And you're sitting down and you're saying this ain't fair. Even regular kids can't do this. And you go over the test. You go over the lesson together and do it. You gotta be in the class. But I brought this up to say this. And I'm not gonna cry. The teacher called me and said, I want to tell you something. I didn't think Eddie was gonna pass. Matter of fact, I thought he was gonna get an F because I judged him when he first walked in the class. And he taught me something from this day forward. And that's why I'm telling y'all that. Don't never put somebody in a box. Don't put yourself in a box. I don't care what anybody's ever told you, don't do it. If you think you could do it, you do it. If you could find the support to do it, that's even better. When she called me and told me that, I got off the phone and cried. Because all of us need a chance. That's just it. And all of us learn differently. You might learn with pictures. You might learn with words. You might learn hands-on. But now we act like we can't do anything without our phone. I hear people say, oh, I'm lost without my phone. Who got their phones right now? Can't do nothing without your phone. Can y'all do anything without your phone? Huh? That's what I'm saying is everybody, y'all got it on silent right now though, right? Yes. That's what I'm saying. Everybody learns and does everything a different way. When you wake up in the morning, don't y'all have a certain routine? It's like I want to do this first. Some people gotta wake up real slow. I wake up like this. Gotta borrow my daughter. No. Let her wake up quietly. It's gonna be a war. So you have to respect the fact you can't push people over on this side and realize, no, when I wake up, I need to have my coffee. I don't want nobody to talk to me, and I need to do this, that, and that, and that. And it's the same thing. With kids on the spectrum, what you find is when you set a routine for them, they don't want you to break that routine. The truth is, we do it too. We're just, well, some of us are not as extreme about breaking the routine. But once you give them a routine, which is why they had a report out, agencies like to hire adults with autism because they're going to come to work on time, they're going to do exactly what they're supposed to do, and that's going to be that. So you gotta respect that. Once you set up a routine, and that could work in your favor, then that's the routine. Okay, collaboration. You guys pull that one out. Where is that?
Okay.
Okay.
It was directed for,
Look, collaboration. This is the same thing we've been talking about though. Stay open and parents, I want to say this, the parents do need to work with you, and it's important for you to get the parent on your side. The way you're going to get the parent on your side, because the truth is the parent's already stressed out. It's also true that if somebody has a special needs child, chances are the couple is broken up. The father typically leaves when it's a special needs child, so now it's on the mom. And that's just true. So you have to understand who you're dealing with. If you get the parent on your side, father or mother, it's going to be easier for everybody involved. It's a team. One person can't do it. LeBron, as good as he is, did they win? Well, how come they didn't win?
He didn't have other 4 people for his team.
So don't close nothing in your life and things. We just talking about special needs. No, we talking about life. If you don't have any help, you're not going to go as far as you could have gone. I don't care how bad you think you are. It was times where I didn't have help and when the angel showed up, I'm talking about the teachers, it was like, thank you God. Because I didn't have anything left to give. You need help. You need help from your parents. You need help from the teachers. You need help from the student. To tell the truth, if the student knows, and kids feel, all kids feel they know. There's some people, they don't want you to hold the baby, no, and they start screaming and crying. You need to respect that. They feel the evil. They don't, you gotta respect that. So kids know, as a parent, if some of you in here may have children, as a teacher, I know if you believe in me or not. I can tell by if you call on me or you don't, or the assignments you give me. If I think that you like me, any kid, I promise to God, I will perform to the level that you say. I will rise up to it, and everybody will say, how did you do it? Because I convinced them that I believed it. I liked it. I told them they could do it. You could tell them they could do it and go home and say, I don't know how the hell they gonna do that. When I saw that algebra, you know what I said? I can't pass this algebra. You know what my son said? I can't do it without you. You know what I went in the room and said? I don't even know math. So guess what? Since my son told me I could do it,
You had to tell him you gonna do
we
it.
did it. I said, I guess I can. I don't know.
You believed in me?
He believed in me. But guess what was funny? Really, he just needed me to sit next to him. The truth is, he was teaching me the math. I asked the teachers for help. I said, y'all know I'm 50, I ain't get it. Come on, y'all. When I was taking the math, I wasn't really concerned about the math. I was trying to pass. Could somebody help me? They said, yes, we got a tutor for $30 an hour. Oh, we don't have no $30 an hour money. Well, he not gonna get the regular degree. Oh, no. I don't come really far, work really hard, and you tell me no. So maybe that was good for them to tell me that. Because then it motivates me when you tell me something can't be done. I can't believe that as a person of color, that something can't be done because my history don't show that. It's in my blood that it could be done. So I can't believe it whenever you say it to me anyway. Plus I'm a woman, you can't tell me something. What? Oh no. So where are we? Okay, look, let's go on. I'm trying to I wanted to talk just a little bit about how much time I have.
Just about to check, I think about 3 more minutes.
3 minutes.
Before we do the Q&A.
Okay.
Well, 1 minute, 50 seconds.
Oh,
Exactly.
Okay, real quick. Ethics of identity. I want y'all to know the difference between discrimination and racism. The reason I'm bringing up discrimination is because really what I'm talking about is people being discriminated against. Discrimination looks like, oh, they're Asian, so they're good at math. You a female, so you know how to cook and clean real good. He could fix everything because he's a male and probably tear stuff up. It looks like that. So it looks like this in these kids too, and that's why I'm bringing it up. That we all in some way have probably been discriminated against, or we discriminate others. And I thought if I showed you what it looked like in our regular everyday life, you would spread it over into special needs and see how they're being discriminated against too. Really, to me, discrimination means I've labeled you, I put you in a box, and you're not going to go no further than where I said you could go. So that's why I want you guys to be mindful of that. I don't want you guys to listen to other teachers who have had the students before, because I've had teachers who had Eddie, and at the time he was very extreme on the level, and then 2 years later they didn't recognize him because he had moved up. I also want to say this. This is mainly to parents with students with special needs, and that is, I'm mindful of the fact that you could do everything, and you will only see a shift maybe in speech or in OT. But my point is to do it. That's my point. My point is what our point was, opportunity. Give us the opportunity to be our best. And so, since she said I only got 30 seconds, okay.
You got 30 minutes now for, you told me to remind you when you're 30 minutes. And Q&A.
Okay. I'm gonna let you guys, I got a treat for y'all, so I'm gonna say two more things. This meditation is up here because really what I wanna tell you is that you gotta be taking care of yourself. As a caregiver in life, husband, spouse, mother, you could be taking care of your own family, somebody in your family. So you have to remember to take care of yourself, to take time out for yourself. You gotta figure out how you're gonna do that. What's gonna be it to keep you always walking in up here, or people see me, they're like, why you always smiling? Because they don't know I get up at 4 in the morning and be praying and meditating and singing and, you know, listening to Maxwell. They don't know that. You do whatever it takes to get you centered and where you are at your best. Where's the...
Oh, it's at the back. You want to do it now?
Yeah,
Or you?
I want to do it now.
Okay.
I got a surprise for y'all, real quick, and then I'm gonna entertain questions. That way you guys can ask me whatever you didn't get a chance to ask me. And then your professor don't know about the surprise either, so it's a surprise to her.
Here we go. Y'all ready for the
So I've never ever done this, but I'm gonna introduce you guys to my son. He's gonna speak to you, and you can ask him questions. It's the first time. Oh, Eddie. First time ever. Person I've been talking about all this time. And that's Professor Sherry, and this is the class. They want to hear what you have to say. They have some questions, and they know something about your personal life. And I wanted to play this song because this song is what I want to dedicate to my son and to you all. And that is, you gotta see the best in people. You gotta see it. If nobody else ever sees it, you see it, you hold on to it. I was told I was crazy and mad. He graduated. They said he wasn't gonna talk to you, he wasn't gonna write. He writes songs. So I wanted, this is the treat I have for y'all. And you guys should have real good. Yeah. Oh, no. Okay. Come on. And you do what you do.
That's a beautiful tree.
Oh, okay.
Just shut it all the way off.
Okay, y'all.
I did that before you did. Awesome. Yes. It messed
You
me
want
up.
to talk to them first, and then they'll have some questions for you if you want to say anything.
Alright, my life with or without autism have been a challenge because when I was first born, I was small. I couldn't even go home immediately. I had to be in a hospital because I was so small, and I had to be a lot bigger, and especially since the fact I was born a month early before I was supposed to be born. I was supposed to be born May the 16th, and I was born in April the 28th. And the teacher, when I saw reality, I was about 7 years old, which was the year 2004. I started to see what was real and what was not real during the time. By age 11, that's when I started creating things like movies on the computer and VHSs, and started to write songs at age of 13 and wrote scripts by the age of 15. And what I want teachers to do for students now is to challenge them like put them, especially like put them on an adventure. So it feels like more than a classroom. It feels like they're like put them outside or something like that. Like make them have fun. Like put them on an adventure and just believe in them and believe in all the other students as well. And that's how all the classes can get along. Like that's how the school can be more fun if you challenge them, like play pretend and just believe in them. And that's I guess my story. That's my story. Any questions?
Also, I want to mention, because I know some people in here are majoring in speech, that Eddie was in speech therapy, serious speech therapy, even privately, for 15 years that we had to do that, and occupational therapy, and special PE for a while, because if you're on the spectrum, you might have a problem with balance. So
what type of procedures did speech therapists work with him? Like what?
For speech therapy, I remember I had to like say bigger words or like I don't remember that much, but I remember at times they would teach me like how to pull on clothes, like how to button my own shirt, or like I think that was about it. It was like how to speak very well and how to like get dressed or just do my own thing. And some things like I just found out on my own. Like I just literally just did this and then just magic just started happening.
also with speech therapy, when a child is having problems with certain words, they may find that and you work on that, like that, the enunciation of the TH. You had to work on that, and in speech therapy, sometimes you could even work on social skills, like if a girl is hitting on you, you could teach him what he's supposed to say or do what you do in certain situations, how do you make friends. So you sometimes it's not just enunciating your words and reading properly, it's even comprehension and understanding of what this means, what that means. And one time in an IEP meeting, they asked me what was my goal. I said, this is when he was a lot younger, my goal is for him to get a joke. Because I knew if he got a joke, he understood, and that actually happened. But that was the goal. They looked at me like I was crazy, but it makes sense.
That's what you want.
Yeah, if you could get a joke, then you understand the language.
He reminds me so much of my cousin Brian. He looks exactly like him. Always one guy in this class, yes.
We have tendency to pick on at least I do sometimes. No, right. How often are you active in your IEP meetings now? I know at one time you probably were because you were too young, but do you participate in your IEP meetings?
I'm not sure if I do IEP meetings.
He came into this last IEP meeting, he came in for the first time, but before that, Eddie didn't come into the IEP meetings for two reasons. One, I need him to see me as the angel that I am. And in the IEP meeting, you know, I'm a mom. Yeah, I'm somebody else. But it's really so we could just get down to business. But what I did do, and I found it to be effective in every IEP meeting, not only did I serve food and refreshments, I had pictures of Eddie around the table, because people had a tendency not to focus on why we're there. Even me, I may start getting it personal, or they might, and then we gotta be mindful. It's a psychological ploy, but it actually works for us to say, hey, we need to figure out what's the best plan for Eddie. Not how much money the school does or doesn't have, or not how tired the mom is. Does Eddie still need speech? Yes, he does. Okay, then we need to figure out how to do it. But now that he's 18, to tell the truth, they talk to him, and then he's supposed to tell me. That can be tricky because you fought for a lot of stuff, and you may not understand the double talk or what they're talking about, or how to argue for what you really want. But once they turn 18, it's nothing I could do about it. What we decided is, If they approach you with something, tell them you gotta think about it, and then come tell me.
Because by
So
law,
are you still in
By
the
law.
meeting?
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm still in the meeting.
Who's younger than 18?
No,
Anybody?
they're gonna be teachers.
Like anybody, everybody's in their 20s or
or higher.
Go ahead.
We won't say all that.
looks like they're in my grade, like in
Oh.
high school.
And my oldest child is 30, okay?
Wow.
Everybody kept saying to my mom, "You finally had a child." Because
Yeah.
by the time I came up and my sister came up, everybody already had kids. And they were already about like maybe in their either like in their younger teens or just a kid, and I was just in this world.
Yeah, at 32, I had my first child.
And at 30, I think 31, that's how old my dad was.
Any other?
Do you all have like a daily routine?
I don't know. Like, I don't know what routine is. Like, usually a routine, like on a school day, sometimes, like mostly, like I always eat breakfast at home. I always choose school as well because I always eat breakfast at home because, like, at certain days, like I could come to school like late and not get anything. And by the end of the day, like usually what I usually do, like is just like watch something on the internet or just do my homework, take a shower, eat my dinner, and go to bed. Especially like since it's summer and I don't have like a computer, like I just usually try to find something to do, eat breakfast and lunch, take a shower, and then just go straight to bed if there isn't anything else to do.
At one time during the summers, and if any parents ask you or you guys have people in your family with special needs, we figured out that during the summers, since kids, we're always telling kids what to do, we're always correcting the kids. Even if your kids don't have special needs, you'll find that you're just always the disciplinarian, you guys are never having fun. So we did decide for summers, when he didn't have to go to summer school, and even when he did, just take the summer off and have fun. And that usually involves swimming. And I could actually say mentally it helped because I saw that the mind got to rest. And we would all be able to rest if somebody wasn't always correcting us. We wasn't always, gotta be on point, gotta be turned up, gotta be. And so we did that. This might be the first summer we haven't gone swimming or the Blue Bayou yet.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we can go to California.
Any other?
So what type of songs do you write?
The songs that I write, I would usually write like about something serious and about something fun at the same time, and also like usually my music, if it ever is out there, it'll be like just alternative everything because there's so many things I want to mix up with music. I think like the things I could sing, like, but also like I can do like other versions too. Cause when I was 7, I was like about into everything: hip hop, R&B, pop, rock, and that's kind of how my songs are. And I actually want to mix. At the same time, when I'm making my own songs, or like I thought of also group songs, is to put like Asian beats into it, and I thought of producing Asian groups, like, and especially like having like Asian shows, because I just especially when I got into like Asian things at the age of 12, I just thought like, what if like television was like that? And I thought it would be more funner because like their shows or whatever they make, like their songs, it just looks like so much fun. And it's like 10 years ago, like I would see, not Japan, but it's like I used to see fun on TV, and now it's like where's the fun? What happened? Especially the type of shows I'm making. One show like it's basically like about comedy where I would call it Mad TV Kids, where it's basically like all that, especially all that and Mad TV just mixed in together. But for all the other shows I thought of making, there's basically like a reality to it, a reality and just a lesson in a way. So music-wise, the songs I would write, they would just be about like something fun or something serious, and the beats and the sounds of it, I would just like mix anything that goes with the beat. That's how I would make those songs, my own songs, or
Okay.
anyone else's songs.
Is there anything that you really do want to ask, but you're afraid to ask, or you feel it's not appropriate to ask? Is it any question that this is the opportunity? When I used to go to conferences and somebody would come out who had autism, I would always think, wow, they can speak, they can talk, okay, what? So but you don't know, but we're saying you can.
Yeah, it's okay. Like ask me anything.
I just wanted to know if there were any improvements that you would recommend with special needs teaching and.
Oh man. I'm trying to think.
Something that teachers could have done to improve, like were you ever in a situation where you felt a teacher could have did it differently and it would have got a, better response or?
I guess
Or pop.
like in second grade, like I felt like so misunderstood at times. Like in elementary school, that was like sadly that was actually the hardest part was elementary. Not because of the learning, because of like what I had to accomplish. And most of the times, like I kept getting in so much trouble, and it just kept happening until about fifth grade. That's when that stopped, and it became fun again. But I guess the thing I would want like the teachers to improve is basically like literally like understand us. Like when we talk, like you and me talk, like we should both like have like side of the story, especially when we have another student that doesn't have what I have, but also like I always felt like I was never like heard. And the thing is that especially in 2004, like there was some things that happened and I couldn't really explain myself, and I just got in trouble for it. I think the improvements would probably be just try to hear us out, like try to understand it. Cause, and the sad part was like back then, like I was not that talkative. Like I wasn't talkative enough. Like I talked, but I wasn't talkative enough where I can express my own feelings until trying to think what grade I was in to express myself, to tell my friends how I really feel, and everybody else. I think I was in like 8th grade. That's exactly how long it took to explain myself. Other times, rarely I would have a problem because I'm always happy a lot. And I think that would be the thing for to improve is just try to understand us. Like when we talk or when you feel like something is wrong, like you got to go with that gut and say, hey, this boy or girl's not feeling well, like we should talk to him or like do something. Like if like they're not their usual self, like, and that's the thing, like even like if it's like the opposite and that's just the way that person feels, like sadness, if the person is sad every day, that's their way of happiness, that could be their way of happiness. And if they feel unusual, like not if you pay attention to enough to like every part of the students besides like the special students, like you can see like what's their feelings, and especially when you ask them, like especially when you come like right on time and get the parents involved as well so they can help out, and all the other administrations to help out too. I think that was what I would want to be improved on for the teaching is just to understand us when we talk. That would just be it. Other than that, like my teachers were always nice to me. They were always fair to me, and I always felt like I was understood a lot. But that would be the only problem. Like, I think when I stopped feeling that way, I was in 5th grade. I was in 5th grade. That's when I stopped feeling like I wasn't misunderstood anymore. But by 8th grade, that's when I started to really feel emotions. Because other times when something bad happened to me, I really couldn't explain it. It's basically like a kid that is like deaf, who can't speak from the mouth or can't hear anything. It's like, how's he gonna defend himself if he can't say anything, like, or, you know, express himself? Like, that would be the other part too, is to let them express themselves. Like, whatever they do, even if they don't have any talent, like, whatever you think, like, especially like if you sign them up for things that they wouldn't usually do, but challenge them to make it look like that's best for them, and they might agree too. You know, at first everything, when you meet someone, it doesn't always work out for the first time, but when you get to know the person more, it's almost like those series when the boy and girl hates each other, and then when they got older, they actually started liking each other. That would be the thing I would want, like, teachers to improve, is to express ourselves and just hear us out. That would be it.
I have 2 questions.
Okay.
First one,
Alright.
do you ever plan on living by yourself?
Living by myself. I really don't know. Like, I want to have a girlfriend and I want to have kids because I really love kids, especially like certain shows I'm making. It's for kids, and the station that I'm doing it on, it's not usually for kids, but like if I change the name of the title and put kids, like one of them is Comedy Central, and just put kids on it. It's a kids network now, because like other stations have done that, like Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network, they have done it, where it's a kids station in the morning or night, and then at the night it's an adult station.
Are you going to move house?
I know.
I want to know that too. Let me see.
I am
Your
getting
mind's not gonna be living.
like, I was getting to that, I swear. I know. My answers are long, but I do get there.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, like when I finish school, like I want to go to New York, because that's where it is, like where my dream is. And like alone, like at first, like I guess for the rest of time, like for the beginning of it, when I'm in New York and everything, like it'll feel okay, but like I do want to marry somebody, but I really don't know who to choose. Like it's best that it would just come to me as a surprise, like whether it's a fan.
That's the way it should work.
That's how it
He
is.
said it's gonna be a thing. He's gonna get the choice.
Like,
So, Mama, you moving to New
He's
York
going to
with
film
Eddie.
school in New York. No, we're gonna set him out.
yeah,
He'll be fine, you know, on his own.
yeah,
And
like
this year he's gonna learn how to drive.
drive, count money,
Yeah.
how to vote, and
Just, yeah, more transitional when they kids get in 12th grade, then the IEP that we talked about earlier that nobody knew what it meant except this young lady that y'all get in
That's a
trouble
shame.
from. Right. So on the IEP, then when they get 17, 18, you start putting in transitional goals, meaning stuff we would normally do, like grocery shopping, or how does a person catch the bus, or directions, stuff like that, driving. And so the school no longer gives driving lessons. I don't know if you guys took it at high school.
I did.
You did, but so I'm gonna teach them how to drive.
what would your second question would be?
My second question is, do you have a close knit of friends? Do you have one friend that you just hang out with and?
I have so many friends, like especially since second grade, when it was still unbelievable how it happened. Like when I entered it, the whole classroom became my best friend, and they stuck with me. Like I would still see them like in my high school, because half of the percent. And the school I went to was in Gonzales Central Middle. And the most surprising part was one of them were Mackenzie, and she was in the Catholic school in Baton Rouge. And it's like she followed me all the way here. I would like usually like I don't for some reason like I don't know why, but I don't usually go to friends' houses unless I'm invited to go there. And yeah, like I have so many friends, even the freshmen of high school that were in my sister's school are also my best friend. Like everybody, rarely I would have any trouble with friends, or rarely I have bully problems. And that, like I said, that's rare. But I have too many friends. Like I do have friends, though.
Yes.
That's good.
Anything else?
That's it.
Well, I have one more question, because y'all just leaving out there, and you told me I could ask.
Yeah, you could ask.
Do you have a problem with hugging people? You know how a lot of teenagers are like, I want to hug you before I leave, but if that's going to be a problem, I don't want to put you in a bad space.
No. Oh man, like I love hugs.
And you know why that's a good question? Because
They
at
like
one
their personal
time,
space.
and I'm a huggy, feely person, but at one time I couldn't touch her. It was too much. The touch was too much, so I couldn't. I had to steal kisses and hugs. You couldn't couldn't get a haircut. So he had dreadlocks for a while because the vibration from the haircut is just too much. So actually it's a good question.
Yeah, I love hugs like so much. Like even like one day when I become famous and like I come out of my driveway, just everybody just started hugging me. That would feel like no. Man, I'm glad it wasn't on the phone.
No, it's not a problem. It's mine.
Glasses to read?
Thank you.
Yeah, I love hugs. Like I love hugs ever since I started to feel it. I don't even know when I don't even know what age I started to feel things, but I just know how it felt, and hugs, like those are my favorite things. I also want to like promote the juice that's called Little Hug, and like literally have the commercial where a kid like gets breakfast and he's just giving hugs to like random strangers, and then it's like one part of the hug commercial, like one body says, and also give me that drink too. Yeah.
So, any other questions?
So when I see that commercial, I'm gonna say, he did it.
Yeah. I haven't heard I think only 3 people have talked so far. Like, does anyone else have a question?
Well, don't feel bad, because I have to pull it out of them too.
Yeah.
That's all right.
So do you like to draw?
I love to draw, but the thing is, I'm kind of bad at it. Like, I lost my creation by, let's see, 14 by 15, I just didn't know how to draw anymore. So I'm hoping, the class I get into can teach me again so I could learn how to draw things. But rarely I could draw things, especially trying to make them I used to have I would have a Photoshop class, and the way it would look, it would look kind of bad, but yeah, I love drawing, but the sad part is I don't know how to draw people instead of myself. That's the only thing. And occasionally some animals I can draw. Some people will probably say it looks the same. But that's the thing that I want to improve, to draw people in cartoons, and I really want to learn how. So I'm hoping the class I'm into, it does its best to teach me how to draw a person again.
Gadavar, did you have something you wanted to share with the class about having a brother that has autism and how you saw the school system?
When I was little, I never noticed it. I didn't even notice he had autism. And when I found out, it didn't shock me at all.
Yeah. I still remember the best moments when I was in 2nd grade. At the time, and still, like, I see him today. Like, I see him today, and he was in me and my sister's old school, CMS. And back then, like, we were becoming friends. But not yet. It was just that beginning part. Like, his name was Jose, but we called him George. And there's a second George. But this George, like, he said that there was something wrong with me, and my sister said it's not his fault. And I still love that she defended for me, and I thought, and other friends, my other friends does that too. It's like, I have the best life ever. Like, that was the best part of my sister, that she always defended for me, even when we get into fights. Like, we always love each other.
Oh, that's great. That's what it is right there.
You should feel bad being honest.
She always, like, sometimes she teases me a lot, but we still love each other. Like, that's just half of love, you know? I know it's a weird love, but like, there's like, most kids would fight each other, or just like beat up each other just for love. Like, it's weird, but it's like, they do love each other when it comes to circumstances. Like, if a different person makes fun of them, it's like, hey, you can't do that, that's my bro. Like, that would be the point where the little brother or the big brother feel like, he actually does love me after all. And figures that out at a young or older age already. So yeah, that was the best part for my sister.
Oh, you got this. Take that.
Okay, that's it. I wanted to, this is the first time I've never done this, and Eddie said he wanted to do it, and I knew that it would be a special treat for you all. I always want you guys to leave with something you can use that's going to help you, and it might not come into play when you think. It might come into play 3 to 5 years from now, you know, but you're gonna need it.
Yes.
So,
Well, we want to thank you because this is your time, and we appreciate you spending it with us. And couldn't have asked for another time.
you want to give Terry a hug?
Yes, I'll give it a hug.